All right, this is structure build number 4, Interaction Enterprises Stu's Tobacco Shop. This was a real nice structure to build. Had very few complaints with anything about this. The instructions were very well thought out, and just all the way all the parts worked. I had originally planned on doing this video the same weekend that I finished the build, but life happened, and so now I'm just getting around to doing it now. So I'm going to try and not bore you with too many of the details. I'll do some voiceover as we scroll through the photos as appropriate to kind of point out a few things about the build. After I distressed the boards, paying close attention to the bottom side, that's where I wanted most of the quote-unquote damage to be, I went ahead and used a very thin paintbrush. You can kind of see it in this photo here. And I painted very carefully up underneath the clapboards, kind of getting to where the very underneath side of them, so that not just the edges of the clapboards had paint. Initially, I started with a mix of folk arts, vintage white, and light mocha. And I can tell you that my original color that I started with was just almost the exact same color as the basswood in its raw form, and I couldn't even really tell where I was painting. And so I actually probably used a lot more of the vintage white than I intended to originally. After I got all the buildings painted, I used Vallejo's dark gray wash to wash everything, and so that's what my rotten boards look like. This is pretty much the exact same technique I used with the station build that I did. The only real difference is I tried to pay closer attention to how I painted the clapboards. Now, one of the really nice things about this particular structure is that it comes with an interior. And so this picture shows the 3 interior walls, or I guess it's actually 4 interior walls. The front interior wall where the windows are, I didn't do anything with it. It was provided in the kit, but I didn't see any point in wasting any time on the front wall when, from the viewing angle, you're never going to see the back side of that wall through the window. So I didn't mess with it. So here's a picture of the 3 interior walls that you can see and the wainscoting. The colors that I used here was a color called Meneth White Base, and that's the cream color. This is by Formula P3. I'm not sure who makes that, and that's some of my wargaming paint. And then I used Folk Arts Cardinal Red for the wainscoting. And once you got everything painted up, everything went together really simple, really easy, and it was just a real joy to put together. For the trim and the accent color, I went ahead and went with a green color called Ordic Olive, and again, that's one of my wargaming paints by P3, Ordic Olive, which is a pretty close match for what the actual manufacturer has in their sample build. Here you can see the pieces laid out kind of in the order they go into the front window. So it's a really nice design. You put that first piece in there that's painted white, then you lay the acetate on top of it, then you've got those 3 chunks of wood that go in on top of it. And so there is no gluing involved with the acetate. So you end up with a nice clean window that, is just a real simple to put in to the front there. All right, so this this shows pretty much the front wall completed, with the exception of the tobacco sign. You'll notice just to the right up there, the right-hand corner, there's 3 very small pieces of wood. These are actually the decorative cornice pieces that are supposed to go across the top. They provided you with the exact number that you needed to complete that. And so what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to fold those pieces in half, glue them together, and then the smaller piece there that's on the bottom wedges in between the 2 larger pieces, and then that's what's supposed to go up there at the top. Needless to say, when I attempted to handle these pieces, that kind of turned into tiddlywinks. If you remember what that game was like, I think I lost 4 pieces into the carpet. My carpet is the exact same color as the wood or cardboard, whatever it was. I don't think it was wood. I think it was more like a cardboard product. And I looked and couldn't find him, and then finally just gave up. So up there at the top, holding up the cornice piece there at the very top, I just got some strip wood that was basically the same width, and that's what I used. And I don't think anybody will ever notice unless they've actually put this building together and actually knows what it's supposed to look like up there. And maybe they had better luck than I did. And here's the completed storefront with the sign. The sign was provided, a piece of paper, and I just weathered it with some burnt umber and some chalks, and there you go. This is a picture of the left side wall with the wainscoting completed, and they also provide 2 of these pipe displays. I just very carefully put just a little bit of different colored paint on them. You'd have to get really close to be able to see these through the window, so I didn't spend too much time on that. But from a distance, you can kind of see something through the windows. Now this photo here shows a completed, I guess, cigarette display case is what I assume it is. They're up at the top, propped up against my hobby knife. That's a completed one. And then directly underneath it, you can see the pieces for another cabinet similar to it that's just a little more narrow. And the way that goes together is you paint the top piece white there, the piece that's painted white, and then you go in with that. They recommend some very fine point markers. I didn't have any, and so really what I used was just paint in a very small brush. Again, you would have to be really close to actually see any detail through the store shop windows to see how messy it was. So you're really kind of just providing an overall effect, and it worked out pretty good. This photo shows a display case, and it's supposed to be a tobacco shop, so I made a crude attempt at creating some, maybe, I don't know, some Native American pipes, and then I just took some clear plastic and glued in there. Again, no one's really ever going to see this because it's just kind of going for the overall effect. And then finally, this is kind of the configuration that it's going to be inside the store itself. So this shows the display cases as they're ready to go into the building. The instructions call for you to put together, I believe, all of the walls except for one. And then it has you build the display cases. I thought that was a little odd. If I were to do it again, I would for sure build the display cases first, because it doesn't really matter when you build them. But then once you get them built, at least the two cabinets, I would attach them to the walls before you put the walls together. You have to trim the chair rail on the wainscoting to get the display cases to fit in there. And if it were me, I would build the display cases first, attach them to the walls where you want them after you get your wainscoting put on, and then attach the chair rail that goes on top of the wainscoting. I think that's, and I probably will purchase this kit again for another location in my layout, and just have it not be a tobacco shop. So, and that, I would say that's the only thing outside of the cornice pieces that were so small and so delicate that I couldn't handle them with my fat fingers. I would say that was the only other thing that I would comment about this kit. Everything else about it was just absolutely great. It really went together well. In this picture, you can see the pre-cut rafter tails, and you can also see the wiring coming out. I did light it. The kit comes, I believe it comes with a lighting kit, or it's able to come with a lighting kit. I did not use the lights that came with it. I went with something a little bit different, just because. And of all the rafter tails that I've done before, these, they had pre-cut slots in the top of the walls for them to slide into. And since they were pre-cut, it was real easy to do. It probably took me, less than 15 minutes altogether. Here's a picture of the lit room after I got everything installed. I kind of got carried away and forgot to put any figures on the inside. I had planned on putting maybe somebody behind the display case and somebody in front of it, so it looked like maybe they were making a tobacco sale. But I just kind of got a little excited and glued the roof on, and so there you go. So about the only other things that I haven't really discussed is the roof, and I went with a tar paper roof. That's what came with the kit. And I went ahead and left this one fairly clean, as if maybe it, just kind of had a fairly new roof. It provides a very thin piece of cardboard for the floor inside the building. I went ahead and attached it to a thicker piece of plywood, just to give it a little more substance. And then there's also another sign that attaches to the front of the building. It's extremely delicate, and I completely forgot to take any pictures of it. But you can kind of see it here or there, and I might go ahead and throw up one from the actual instructions as well. But all in all, it was a fairly easy build to do, and I certainly would recommend this kit to anyone that's looking for a false front structure of some kind. Thanks for watching.
Never have enough time to play at all. Everybody wants to walk in someone